Welcome to the Time Management Podcast with me, your host, Abigail Barnes. I'm a productivity coach, global speaker, time management author, and award-winning entrepreneur on a mission to share the 888 formula with the world and to remind you that it's your time. Leave it to me to bring you new time management tips, tricks, tools, and strategies, to introduce you to guests, research, and case studies from around the world, and to give you a simple 5-step process you can follow to uplevel your productivity, achieve your goals, and create a life that exceeds your wildest dreams. I'm so excited that you're here, so let's get started. Welcome to the show. It's you and me, and today we're talking about why being busy is killing your career development, and specifically what you can do about it. In this episode, we dive into the science behind your busyness addiction. We talk about how to prioritize like a leader, as well as how to generate real career boosting data from your output. And then finally, we'll wrap it all up with a conversation about the 888 formula and how you can use it to protect your time and your well-being. Without further ado, let's dive straight in with the belief that busy people are successful people. Do you have this belief? I had it for absolutely years. And being busy has often been mistaken for being important. Yet it actually is masking a lack of strategy. Instead of climbing the career ladder, many professionals find themselves burnt out and overlooked. But we practice what we know, we do what we see. And if we see other people being busy and achieving success from it, we automatically assume that being busy is how you achieve success. But that's not always true. And it was Einstein who said insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting to get a different result. So just because somebody who was busy achieved success doesn't mean that that is the way forward and that is the only way. Because time freedom is a choice. To believe you have enough time and to watch the world respond and prove it is a choice. Believing that busyness is the way to get everything that you want is a choice. And the science of busyness is something that we're going to discuss in this episode today. I'm obsessed with all things brain science, neuroscience. As you know, if you have been around for a while, having had a stroke, it's so important for me to know, to understand that my brain can rewire itself, has rewired itself, and that if it's possible for my brain to do it, it's possible for your brain to do it. And there's also neuroscience now to tell us, to prove that this is actually what has happened. But let's talk about the science of busyness and why our brain resists change and how we can actually work with it. We can work with our brain, we can hack our brain, and we can create the results that we want. It starts off with this. The primary function of your brain is to keep you alive. It is designed for survival. It is not designed for success. There are 3 key reasons why your brain loves busyness. Number 1, it believes that busyness equals importance. Modern society has glorified busyness. Your brain gets a dopamine hit when you're ticking off that to-do list, even if what you're doing is meaningless. Being busy creates that illusion of progress, feeding your need to feel useful without necessarily being effective. Number 2, efficiency, not growth. Your brain is an energy efficient machine. It builds habits and routines to conserve energy. Changing those habits means that you are using more executive function to think, to plan, to regulate your emotions, which is slow, it's tiring, and the brain doesn't like it because you are now overriding the autopilot mode and it will start to go into a panic. Number 3, then, it hijacks your decision making. When you're under stress, chronic busyness means that your amygdala sees it as a threat, and your prefrontal cortex, where all the decisions are made, starts to take a back seat and just goes, yeah, I'm out. This means that less strategy is occurring, you are being more reactive, and your default to what is familiar rather than what is for the best. You know, there is this old saying, when emotion is high, intelligence is low. Sometimes if you're emotional, you just need to walk away. And this is because the brain has literally gone into that fight or flight stage. It is unable to make a clear decision. Once you have understood this concept, then the next question you need to be asking is, what am I doing to add value to my organization and my team? Because if we want to progress in our career, it is important that we understand that value that we are adding, and busyness is not value. So some ways that you can start to understand the value that you are adding to your organization. The number one is when you start looking at efficiency versus effectiveness, and you really become analytical about what you're doing all day. Are you very good at doing the things you're very good at doing? You're efficient at them. Versus, are you doing the things that matter, the right things, the effective things? When it comes to prioritizing like a leader, one of the best ways to do that is to use the Eisenhower Matrix to organize your to-do list, so that from this place, with the 4 simple questions that you can ask yourself, you can start to understand if you are doing busy work efficiently, or if you are doing effective work, which will actually add strategic value to the organization that you work for. In the Eisenhower Matrix, there are 4 boxes. We have the do box. This is what needs to be done immediately and requires your attention. It's important and urgent. We have the decide box. This is what needs more thought. It is important, but it is not urgent. We have the delegate box. Who else could handle this task? It's not important and it's not urgent. And then we have the delete box. What can you eliminate altogether? Because it's not important and it's not urgent. And by using this matrix, not only can you clarify your priorities, but you can also ensure that you are focusing on what actually truly matters, what is adding strategic value to your organization. This is the only way you will progress in your career. If you can demonstrate the value you add with data, that is how people will start to recognize the value you bring. So reflect on those 4 matrix questions for a second. By using the matrix, not only can you clarify your priorities, but you can also ensure that you are focusing on what truly matters. It's not just about being busy, it's about being effective. Reflect on this for a minute. How are you currently managing your tasks? What could you delegate? What could you eliminate to free up some time? Some questions for you to ask yourself. What could ChatGPT do, or your organization's answer to AI? What could you actually automate? What could you create a process for? What could you use more support with? What things are you doing that you just can't really actually do yourself, that you would require other people's help? Because when it comes down to it, measuring what matters, creating the data that showcases your strategic value is what is going to help you progress in your career. We've spoken about tracking your time before, but in this episode, I'd like to talk about tracking your time with reference to career development. So for 5 working days, this is the homework, should you choose to accept it. Track everything you do, who you do it for, either in a diary or a spreadsheet, or write it out. Every single thing you do, every project you're involved in, every call you take, every email you respond to, everything. And it might be easier to look at your diary because that's where your time is blocked out, but it might also be easier to write it out, move it to a spreadsheet, Do it however works best for you. Then once you have got this data, turn this data into a dashboard. And this dashboard is something that you can use in your one-to-ones with your line manager. Cross-reference the data that you get with your KPIs, your OKRs, your targets, and then update your line manager on your progress regularly. Because that way they can continuously be reminded of the value you're adding, and you will be giving them data, not your opinion. Data, not your opinion. Whether we like it or not, data drives decisions. It's important to find the balance between reporting and justifying. You're not doing this exercise to prove your worth. And if you're uncertain of how to do this exercise, you've got any questions, then I would recommend that you ask a peer mentor. That might be somebody in your organization who is supporting you. You ask one of your colleagues, you ask somebody in your network, or you think about getting a coach. This is a process that they could take you through if you are serious about your career development path. So finally, in this rush to achieve more, it can be so easy to overlook the main purpose of life, which is to live. Which is where the 888 formula comes in. This is a simple framework to help you to balance your productivity and your well-being so that you can create time for it all. It's the simplest way for you to divide your 24-hour day based on science and society. Science suggests you need 7 to 9 hours sleep. The average human needs 7.5. We call this rest in the formula because there are other ways to recharge your energy. Society requires that you work an 8-hour day. So then what's left, this 8 hours, is your life. We call this the activities because this is all the activities you do on a daily basis. This is commuting to work if you commute. This is cooking the food, eating the food, cleaning up after the food, buying the clothes, wearing the clothes, washing the clothes, looking after the house, the home that you live in. This is your relationships. This is looking after your children if you have them, looking after your animals if you have them, looking after your other dependents if you have them, looking after relatives if this is something that you are responsible for. This is your hobbies. This is your health, your well-being, your exercise. This is also starting a relationship if that's something that you want to do. And it is also where you are thinking about your personal development, so exploring the things that you would like to learn. For example, when I was early on in my career, I used to do evenings and weekends to study for my Chartered Institute of Marketing postgrad diploma because I wanted to turn my marketing degree into the next level. I love marketing and I wanted to learn more. But that meant that I had to spend a considerable amount of time studying after work, going to classes, doing coursework, homework, and then preparing and doing exams. And in those days, the exams were handwritten, and we used to have to practice handwriting for hours. Off the top of my head, I think it was a 3-hour exam, might have been 2, don't quote me on that. But it seemed like forever that we had to handwrite. I remember going to a stationery shop and trying out every single pen in the stationery shop that I could to see which one would be the easiest and free-flowing to write for that amount of time. I absolutely loved the pen. Just for interest's sake, if anybody wants to know, it was a Bic pen. I actually have it here on my desk. It was an orange Bic pen, and I think that they back in the day were 50p a pen. They're probably £1 now. But that fun fact was how I managed to pass those exams. Absolutely loved it. But the point is I had to make time for that study. So the formula helps you to identify what it is that you want to achieve. It's not saying that 888 is the aspiration. It's saying that 888 is the logic and sense of where life is right now. Now, circumstances are going to change. Your situation is going to change. The time of year is going to impact how much you have to work, what projects, whether your work is cyclical. If you have moved house, if you have started a new job, if you have a new relationship, if you have started a new family, all of these things are going to impact your particular formula, and it is down to you to create whatever it is you want, because this is your life. The question you need to ask yourself is the time I have being used to create the life I want, or is all of your focus in one area? As I said, there will be seasons. There are things that are necessary, but gone unchecked for too long, you'll be living to work. You'll not be working to live. For more on today's subject, if you loved it, check out episode 6 back in the podcast where we talked about the addiction to being busy and how to let it go. Because believe it or not, some of us are addicted to it. And then in episode 15, you might want to figure out where all your time is going. You might want to do a 7-day time audit, grab a copy of my book, work through the 5-step process that's in there, auditing your time, reviewing your audit, accepting that that's where your audit's at, making an agreement to make a change, and then creating a new action plan to move forward. A coaching question for you today. How is being busy helping you? A follow-up coaching question. What does being busy help you avoid? How is being busy helping you? And what does being busy help you avoid? There are no mistakes in life. We do everything for a reason. If you're ready to go that little bit deeper and you would like to find out how you could work one-to-one with me, there's links in the show notes. If you have any questions, if you want all of the links to everything in the podcast where we've talked in the past about the books that we recommend, all of those things, again, the links are in the show notes. If you would like to talk to me about me speaking at an event or a conference that you're running, reach out. I would love to talk to you about that. If you would like to buy a copy of my book for yourself, for your organization, for your team, you would like team training, reach out and let me know. All of the links are in the show notes. And if you can't find anything, find me on social media, find me on LinkedIn, and let's connect. And until next time, my friend, stay safe, stay well, and remember, it really is your time. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you loved what you heard, be sure to let me know by leaving a review so I can keep the good stuff coming. Come and say hi on Instagram at Success by Design Training, or visit my website, successbydesigntraining.com, or connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search Abigail Barnes. Until next time, don't forget, you are amazing and it's your time.